Bruce Lindahl was a sexual predator who seemed to have friends in law enforcement, so he seemed to avoid any serious jail time despite his increasingly questionable behavior. On the most egregious occasion, he was stopped by police with an unconscious woman in the passenger seat, bleeding from a knife wound to her head. He told them he was taking her to the hospital, even though he was going in the wrong direction. Bruce escaped the situation with no charges filed against him. It was only a matter of time before he escalated to murder, but justice would be served in the most ironic way. Welcome to History's Biggest Villains. Bruce was born on January 29, 1953 in St. Charles, Illinois. His family moved around multiple communities of Chicago, as acquaintances called him a quiet and unremarkable boy. Friends spoke positively about him, although he had a short temper, being prone to aggressive outbursts. At Downers Grove North High School, he displayed some disturbing tendencies, as on one occasion, he tried to force a female classmate into his car, then tamper with her vehicle to prevent her from leaving. After his graduation in 1971, he got his license to be an electrician, also working other odd jobs throughout the Chicago area. He would have several arrests for minor thefts, but he only received fines. From 1974 onward, he changed addresses several times, and Bruce would escalate his crimes to a frightening level. On January 12, 1976 at 9:45 p.m., 16-year-old Pamela Maurer left a friend's house in Lisle, Illinois to buy soda at a McDonald's, but she never returned. A few hours later, her body was found behind a guardrail, bearing the signs of rape and strangulation. Police believed that she was placed there to make it look like a hit-and-run accident. They also found a 3-foot-long piece of rubber hose near her body, which they presumed to be the murder weapon. Several suspects were looked at, but there was no evidence tying any of them to the crime, so no arrests were made. This case was reopened in 1993 after new information, but to no avail. Finally, in January 2020, Bruce was linked to the murder by DNA evidence. On April 24, 1976, the body of 19-year-old Kathy Howley was found in the Fox River near North Aurora. She had been missing for a month after being abducted from her apartment. Bruce was linked to her murder by DNA in October 2024. On March 6, 1979, Bruce asked 20-year-old Annette Lazar if she wanted to smoke a joint with him. When she agreed and got in his car, he grabbed her by the throat, holding a gun to her head before driving to his home and raping her. After Lynette acted like she loved him, Bruce let her go, after which she contacted the police. However, since the house he brought her to was owned by Bruce's friend Dave Torres, who was a cop, Annette's story wasn't believed. Even though she had bruises on her neck and the indentation from the gun barrel on her temple, she wasn't taken seriously and no charges were filed. On June 23, 1980, Bruce abducted 25-year-old Deborah Colliander from a parking lot of a shopping center in Aurora. He took her to his apartment where he raped her and took several new photos, but she escaped after he fell asleep. She went to the police, and Bruce was charged with deviant sexual contact, rape, and aggravated kidnapping, but he bonded out and was released. While awaiting trial, Bruce was hired as a teacher of small engine repair at Canelands Vocational School. On October 7th, 2 weeks before she was supposed to testify, Deborah disappeared, and with the key witness missing, the trial was canceled and the charges were dropped. On December 22, 1980, Bruce attacked a 30-year-old woman in Northern Aurora after she refused to have sex with him in exchange for money. As there were several witnesses, he hurried to leave the scene without causing serious harm. The injured woman called the police and was presented with photographs of various criminals for visual identification. As Bruce was not among them, she instead picked out another man with a similar appearance. On January 28, 1981, Bruce was convicted of illegally tapping and recording other people's phone calls to extort them. While the police served their arrest warrant, he aimed a shotgun at one of the officers. Bruce was charged with aggravated assault on a police officer, resisting arrest, and illegal possession of a firearm. But again, he was released on bail, remaining free during the initial investigation. After this news came out, the school he worked at asked him to resign. A few weeks later, Bruce was pulled over by the police. They found an unconscious woman in the passenger seat, bleeding from a deep gash to her head. The officers asked Bruce what he was doing, and he said he was taking her to the hospital, although he was driving in the wrong direction. An ambulance came and took her to the hospital, where an examination revealed that she had been raped. The woman said that she didn't remember what happened after Bruce gave her a sip of something at a party. In the end, no charges were filed against Bruce. After getting away with so much, Bruce got bored of going after young girls, so he wanted to challenge himself by killing a young man. On April 4th, while cruising around the mall in Naperville, he met 18-year-old Charles Huber Jr. They went bowling together, and Bruce suggested that they go to his ex-girlfriend's apartment, and Charles agreed. When they got there that same evening, Bruce pulled out a knife and fatally stabbed him 28 times. However, during the frenzied attack, Charles resisted, causing Bruce to stab himself in the thigh, severing his femoral artery. He quickly bled out and died. collapsing on top of his victim. When police entered Bruce's apartment, they found several pictures of young girls, including 16-year-old Debbie McCall, who left school on November 5, 1979 and was never seen again. This discovery led police to surmise that Bruce was involved in her disappearance. Jim Roddings was a local reporter who exposed Bruce's crimes in 1980. The police determined that Bruce had planned to kill him after his pending charges were dropped, but Bruce was not alive to carry that out. Jim published Murder in the Fox Valley, the true story of serial killer Bruce Lindahl in 2022. In 1982, the decomposed body of Deborah Colliander was found in an Oswego cornfield. Soon after the discovery, a man came forward and told police that Bruce offered him $2,000, a handgun, whiskey, and pills to get rid of Deborah so that she couldn't testify against him. The Chicago Police Department is still combing through cold cases, as Bruce has been declared a suspect in 12 murders and 9 rapes from 1974 to 1981. The aftermath of Bruce Lindahl also had an effect on the career of Officer Dave Torres, a man who had gone skydiving and played racquetball with him. The two were good friends, and Bruce bought one of Dave's old homes from him, as this was the same house that he raped Annette Lazar in. After Dave was questioned by his colleagues about potential involvement in Bruce's crimes, he struggled to advance within his department, as some even called him Bruce's wormy friend. All I gotta say, karma is a biatch. That's all I gotta say. How do you not believe when Annette tells you that this dude took me in the car, went to my house, did all these crazy things to me, and I have the bruises on my neck to prove it. I got the indentation of a gun barrel on my head, but, you know, they just don't believe you. That is crazy. I don't get it, man. If they would have stopped him then, they would have prevented all this stuff. But, you know, police, friends with the cop, no charges. Like, that's just insane. But karma is one of those. Because, you know, he's such a great serial killer that he killed himself. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, turn my post notification on if you haven't already. Thanks. Please be safe. I'm out. Peace.
Police have tied another victim to a serial killer. They say targeted women and girls in the western suburbs decades ago.
Bruce Lindahl is dead himself now, but new clues led police to make this latest connection, providing closure for another victim's family. Our Sabrina Franza has those details from the control room tonight. Sabrina?
Joe, Erica, police say they can now confidently add another name to the list of Bruce Lindahl's victims, Kathy Halley. Her body was discovered on April 24th of 1979. A boy fishing near her apartment found her body then. Now 45 years later, police say this case is solved. Police say serial killer Bruce Lindahl is the man responsible for at least 4 deaths. Kathy Halley, Charles Huber, Deborah Colliander, and Pamela Maurer. Over 40 years ago, investigators believe he targeted women and girls in the western suburbs. Police say Deborah Colliander was raped by Lindahl. Just before she was set to testify against him, she disappeared and was found buried in a Kendall County field in 1982. In 1976, Pamela Maurer, a 16-year-old girl, left her home to get a soft drink. The next morning, her body was found on College Road in Lisle. She had been strangled and sexually assaulted. Police say Lindahl killed himself accidentally while killing another victim, Charles Huber, in 1981. They later exhumed Lindahl's body and used DNA to solve Maurer's murder case.
Investigative genetic genealogy has been used to solve a murder.
They also used DNA in the case of Kathy Halley. Lisle Police Department investigators told CBS News Chicago back in 2020 that they believed there were more victims. Now we know Halley was one of them.
I would say up to 9, wouldn't you agree?
Up to 12.
Up to 12.
Up to 12.
Now, police are expected to brief the media on more details on how they solved this case tomorrow. As soon as we have those details, we'll bring them to you here. We're in the control room. Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Chicago.
Okay, Sabrina, thank you.